I'm here with the next chapter of class 11, and that is Discovering Tut. The saga continues. Saga, long story, long old story. Now this is a story, an account. I should not say story, it is an account by A.R. Williams. And it is very, very interesting. You will really like it. Let us go through a little details for a better understanding. So we should first know who King Tut was. So let us first see all about him, and then we will see how he was discovered. That means his mummy was discovered. He was an Egyptian king. He was an Egyptian pharaoh, and pharaohs are kings. They are called pharaohs. And the dynasty that he belonged to, I'll just let you know. I'm here with all the main points, and then we'll see how his mummy was discovered, who discovered it first, for what purpose, and what all they found. So let's get started. Now, firstly, I will go towards this part as to which dynasty we are talking about. Now, this was a pharaoh dynasty. This was the 18th pharaoh dynasty, right? And their dynasty was known as the Golden Age, the best ever period, that Egypt had witnessed. And let us see. Now, firstly, we come to know the accounts. Firstly, we come to know is about King Amenhotep. King Amenhotep III. He must have been father or grandfather of Tut. But we are not very clear about this. Alright? And a very good reign he had ruled. And then he was succeeded by his son Amenhotep IV. Alright? Now this person was a very different man. He used to worship the sun disk. And sun disk was called Aten. And because he was so much into this, he promoted everybody in the kingdom to worship the sun god, that is the sun disk. And even he changed his name from Amenhotep to Akhenaten. Akhenaten. This Akhenaten. So this means the servant of God, the servant of sun god. Alright, so he changed his name, and then what all he did? He promoted everybody, he forced everybody. Firstly, he was promoting, but everybody has got their own faiths and beliefs. So what he did was, he forced everybody to worship the sun god, that is Aten. Alright, and what else he did? He destroyed, before he came into reign, people were worshipping King Amun. God Amun was being worshipped. Now what he did? He destroyed all the idols and all the temples of God Amun, so that nobody goes to that temple, and he wanted everyone to worship the sun disk. And also he moved his capital from Thebes to Amarna. He brought his capital here. So, when you go through details of this, whatever this Amenhotep IV did, how he changed his name, he changed the capital, and even he forced people to worship the sun god. It's okay, to worship sun god. He could have promoted. But the most horrific thing that he did was to destroy the temple and the idols of King Amun. And when people read about it, Ray Johnson was the director in the university at Chicago. He, when he was in Luxor, it's there in Luxor. So he, when he studied about this, he said it must have been a horrific time. Destroying the temples and the idols of gods. All right, so that was a time when people went through a very bad period, and then after him he was succeeded by Samenkhare. Now this we have very less account of this person. He ruled for a very short time, and then he was succeeded by Tutankhamun. He was actually named as Tutankhaten because his forefathers must have told that they should have Aten at the end, as they worship sun god. So he was Tutankhaten. But he was a different king. He ruled for 9 years only. He died very young. It is said that he died during his teenage time. But he brought back the old ways. He got the temples reconstructed that had been, once destroyed. He started worshipping Lord Amun. Everything he did was very good. He brought back everything to make people happy, and yes, people were very fond of him. He was a great ruler. Although it is said that he had died at the age of 17, it is said, but he had ruled only for 9 years. But he brought back the old ways, and he was a very considerate king. But he died mysteriously. No one came to know whether he died on his own, he was ill, or somebody had murdered him. Alright, so that is why, he is one of the most searched mummies. So when, Howard Carter went there in 1922, Howard Carter, he was a British archaeologist. Previously there was not a very wide range of this medical technology was not so established. And people before, Howard Carter, he was an archaeologist and he was more bothered about the riches. They came to know that in his mummy, in his tomb, there were, it was full of riches of gold and all the pearls and jewelry and everything. Egyptians believe in life after death. So what they do, that whenever they bury the dead bodies, they always put in all the essential material, all the luxurious and all the necessary items. Even a razor is also put. All the utensils, everything. For wine, there are different things. Then all different clothes. Then collars of gold and amulets and rings and everything of gold. And his tomb was known for the riches. So, when your chapter starts, it starts with Zahi Hawass, which was the latest findings. Zahi Hawass had gone there in 2005 on the 5th of January when he went there and he took out the body of King Tut. So he tells, Zahi Hawass says that now people are more bothered about how he died, mysteries of his death, the age when he died, and people are more bothered about all this. That is why, when in 2005 he went and the CT scan was done. What is CT scan? That is the computed tomography, in which you can take out every minute detail, so many pixels, and in small pixels and small X-ray reports and all pictures you can combine and you can study so well. It is said that when his 1700 X-rays were made, and when his head was under this X-ray machine and all CT scan, they were able to take out as minute pictures as 0.62 mm. So every detail they could enlarge and study. And when they did that, at the end, when they had studied about him, they put the body back and they studied about him, they found that this person was a beautiful person. The shape of the skeleton that came out, it was a beautiful body. Alright, and so when Zahi Hawass says that when Howard Carter must have taken it out, it is according to Zahi Hawass, he says that he must have gone there in search to see how much riches were there. But now the focus is different. Alright, and he also says that I will tell you about Howard Carter, what he did. Then in 1968, after 1922, in 1968, the professor of anatomy, he also went and studied King Tut's this mummy, this body, the dead body, and they were all the skeleton part, right? And he found that the ribs and breastbone were missing. So in his reports, he writes that ribs and breastbone were missing. But later on in 2005, on the 5th of January at 6 p.m. when they took it out, and I'll tell you the details that is there in the chapter, they found that everything was there intact. Only thing was when Howard Carter must have assembled, his men must have assembled the body while putting it back, the ribs and the breastbone were laid under his body. Alright, so that is why he could not find it. But otherwise, when they did all the X-ray and took out so many pictures, 1700 X-ray reports were there. So they found that every minute detail was there. And regarding his mummy, it says that it is a 26 feet deep underground rock cut tomb. Alright, and the murals, there are murals on the walls, they are full of paintings, the whole tomb is a beautiful, just like a palace, decorated from inside. In the same way, his tomb, where his body, his coffin lay, everything was so beautiful. Alright, and then it is said that he lies there in 3 coffins. On the first one is the face gilded in gold. In the second coffin, they find flowers, those olives and the flowers that are mentioned. You just go through your book. The flowers that are mentioned in your book, the olives and some other flowers that is mentioned, they were only present, they used to flower only, like they used to grow only in March or April. So then we come to know, he must have found the flowers. Obviously, they must be the dried ones. So in the second whole coffin of the second thing, there are flowers. So we come to know that this person, King Tut, must have died during the months of March or April, because those flowers grow in that month, in those months only. And then in the third one lay his body. Alright. Now, and I'll tell you all about it. Then there are murals. Then the face of Tut has got paintings. The face has been painted. First, I told you here they have the face where it is gilded with gold, so it is all painted with gold. Then they found that every single thing was kept over there. I told you they believed in life after death, and they had actually. I told you people were very fond of King Tut. Secondly, people used to be very afraid of these spirits and all. So they used to feel that everything should be kept very nicely so that they are not cursed after the person's death. So every single thing, even the razor and beautiful clothes and all the clothes, and even his undergarments are there, and all types of jewelry, the rings and amulets, everything. Lot of riches, and his mummy is the richest, it is said. So Howard Carter was very interested to study about all the riches that are buried there. Okay, and now I'll start the chapter, how it goes. I've told you all the details, so we know all the details. Let's go how your chapter says. In 2005, on the 5th of January at 6 p.m, when Zahi Hawass was there with all his men, they wanted to get the CT scan done, that is computed tomography. So he went there, and suddenly, as soon as they tried to take the body out, the coffin out, the whole area, it is said that this Egypt, where these symmetry, there is this symmetry is known as the Valley of Kings, because there are around 600 mummies over there. And with great difficulty, Howard Carter had found King Tut's mummy. So, when Zahi Hawass went there, he noticed that there was a dust storm, the wind was blowing, and he felt as if this ghostly dust is rising and it is cursing as to why this body is being disturbed from the resting place. So he says that he felt so that there was a curse and everything was, there was a turmoil and there was a wind. The wind was blowing, the sand was blowing very badly because this is the Valley of Kings is a desert area, right? So he felt so. So when the body was taken out, when they noticed it and they started observing it, they felt that this person, Howard Carter, had left the body in a very bad condition. He was the first one to take that body out. So why it is said so that it was kept in bad condition? Because when they took out, actually when Howard Carter had gone, that is in 1922, at that time there were not many facilities, right? And technically also we were very weak. Science and technology has improved now. And every passing day, we are getting new establishments and new inventions, new discoveries in science. All right. So, but at that time, 1922, Howard Carter was a British archaeologist, and archaeologists, they take out things that are engraved and they study about that and about that time. That is why we are able to study history. Right. So, Howard Carter, when he was, he was so shocked to see the amount of riches, but when he tried to remove the body, firstly his men, they removed the head, right? Then they realized that this body had got cemented by the resins. Resins, R-E-S-I-N-S. This is an organic chemical, with those plants and the liquid that come out of the plants. And this organic chemical has got this, whatever the substance is, it has got it hardens very quickly. So the dead body had got hardened and cemented with the coffin. So he was not able to take out the body. He was not able to separate the body from the coffin. So how would he study? What he did was he took out the whole coffin and took it out of this tomb and kept it in the sand. Because he felt that it was so hot. I told you it is a desert area, this Valley of Kings, where the cemetery lies, and because the temperature was 149 degree Fahrenheit, so he thought it was scorching sunlight, and probably this hardened thing would get loosened and he would be able to take out the body. But nothing moved. He was not able to take out the body, and finally, what he did? He made the use of hammer and chisel. You know what these sculptors and all do? They have this chisel. The chisel is a pointed thing, suppose this is a chisel. They have got a pointed thing over here of iron, and with hammer they, bang it from the back so that things are engraved, or in the statues and all, when they make designs and all, they use chisel and hammer. So now to take out the body that had been cemented with the coffin, he did that, so he spoiled, kept it in a bad shape, right? So, but still he was able to do that, and he had to mainly study about the riches and all. He made all the list, and it took him months to get the list ready for the treasures that were there in his mummy. Okay, and then it was put back. Right? Then in 1922, this person, professor of anatomy, in 1968, he again went there to study, and he realized that these ribs and breastbones were missing. Okay, and so what he felt was that it was the fault of Howard Carter, maybe, that these things are missing, or then people try assuming that what must have been the cause of death. Then in 2005, on the 5th January, Zahi Hawass went and this body was taken out. Now I told you they had taken their CT machine there, CAT scan machine, and what they did was, I told you about all the jewelry and everything, no? This Howard Carter had made the list of the treasures that were found over there. And when people asked him that why did you use that hammer and chisel? So what explanation did he give? What reason did he give? That now, as he had taken out the body and it was there outside, so, and there were many people around, because something new was happening over there. So there were many people around, and he felt that those people might, the thieves might rob the the jewelry that was present there. So he wanted to, now since the thing was out, he wanted to quickly remove that body, study it, do his whatever research he was doing, and then he wanted to put it back. And how did he put it back? Now, it was, I told you, he used hammer and chisel, so it was in bad shape. So what he did was, he took wooden boxes, put a lot of sand in that, and placed the body. He got the body assembled with the help of his people that who had gone with him. And then the coffin was put back and everything was closed. Okay. And then now Zahi Hawass. So now they had to get this CAT scan done. And what did they do? They had to climb stairs. All right. And then there was this hydraulic, I've forgotten that word. I'll just let you know. It was a hydraulic machine, they had to climb the stairs. There was a hydraulic machine. And inside that there was a trailer. And then there was the CAT scan thing. So they lifted the body and then they put it in. And the head went in first and the whole body was scanned. 1700 pictures, x-rays were taken, and as I told you, the head part, there were such small pictures that were taken. I told you they were as minute as 0.62 mm, and they made a 3D vision of this whole body to study about it. There were 3 departments who were studying. There was the radiology department, there was this forensics department, there was this anatomy department. 3 departments were working on this, and they did that. Now, when the CT scan was going on, all right, so what happened? You could see 2 men, running after 20 minutes, and everybody was seeing as to, there were so many people, so many tourists and all had come, because everybody came to know that again King Tut's body was being studied, and now CT machine was there. So there were many people who were picturing and who had taken pictures of the tomb also, and they wanted to write about this CT scan thing. So then 2 men after 20 minutes were seen running, and they went there and they brought back 2 fans. So on asking, they said that the CT machine's fan had stopped working while the scanning was going on because of a lot of sand that had got into it. So, there was a guard over there, and the guard said, oh, that means this was it is quite possible that it is the curse of the pharaoh, all right, who is being disturbed again and again from his resting place. And it was also said that the winged goddess was always protecting the mummy of King Tut. It is said, all right. And so, when the guard said, even people were started feeling very eerie, and that you feel that supernatural effect over there, and there was wind all about, and they felt like the ghostly dust winds were blowing here and there, getting very angry. So then these two men who came out running, and then they brought 2 different fans, and finally they succeeded in taking out pictures. As I told you, 1700 x-rays were done, pictures were taken out, and then after that everything was brought out, and the body was placed back again with full of respect. They assembled, very nicely they assembled the whole thing. And when everything was done, they very nicely they did it. And when Zahi Hawass came out, he could see the constellation Orion just on top, and he felt that maybe this Orion constellation was protecting the tomb, and was now very happy. And then suddenly he noticed that the dust wind had just became silent, and everything was calm and peaceful. And Zahi Hawass when he went back home and he sat down, he smiled back at himself and was feeling very nice, and then felt that there was those supernatural powers that were protecting King Tut's mummy. He could, although we do not believe all this, but when you see such a sight, you start believing it. And they took out that 3-dimensional figure was made by the CT machine. They studied, and probably what according to them is that he was probably murdered, but still it's the time of history, 3300 years before he had died. There is no other evidence left. We cannot say why he died, but yes, what they felt was that he must have been murdered, because otherwise this whole skeleton, the body that had come out, the grey thing, the report said was a beautiful person's body, and it was said that King Tut was also a very beautiful, very nice, good looking person. People were very fond of him. So this is your chapter. Go through this. I have found children saying, ma'am, it's a very difficult chapter. There's nothing, no difficulty in this. You should know about this dynasty. Alright, you should know about the Amenhotep III, then Amenhotep IV, and what all he did, how he changed his name, he changed his capital, he wanted people to only, worship the sun disk, and how he, destroyed the temples of God Amun, and then how he was succeeded by this person who ruled for a very short time and nothing is known about him as to who he was, and then how Tutankhaten came and he changed his name from Tutankhaten to Tutankhamun. Alright, and then the three layers of the coffin where he lay, and then you should know that in 1922 Howard Carter was the British archaeologist who was the first person to find out King Tut's mummy. There were around 600 mummies over there, and he was successful in finding this out. He took months to make a list of the treasures that were there in his tomb, and which were kept along his dead body, because the Egyptians felt that there was life after death and everything should be provided to the person. And then in 1968, almost about after about 44 years, professor of anatomy did this, and he found that the ribs and breastbone were missing. And then on 2005, 5th January at 6 p.m, when Zahi Hawass and his team went for the computed tomography to be done, then what all he found and how they did this CT scan, and what all is written about the tomb. You should know this. It's very, very simple. It is said that winged goddess is protecting the tomb, and it was also when he came out, he saw the constellation Orion was there just on top, and he felt that now maybe Orion is very happy and they are also protecting the tomb, King Tut's tomb, mummy. Alright, so this is very interesting, and go through your books also, and if you go through any problem, please write it in my comment section, and do take good care of yourself. Goodbye.